Hi, this is Noel Rice from Falafel Software. In this session, we're going to use some TestComplete objects inside of TypeScript classes. So we'll actually start to wrap the classes in a way that begins to be useful. Along the way, we're going to do a few housekeeping bits, hide the unneeded files that are in the editor, things like back files, JS, SJ that TestComplete generates, make those go away so that we don't have to look at them. And in TestComplete, we're going to organize the output files. Since those are generated, we want those in a separate spot. But most importantly, we're going to take some TestComplete objects, in this case, Sys.Desktop and the log, and use them in TypeScript. So let's go through the numbers here, starting with the hiding the unneeded files. So when we go into Visual Studio Code, I want to eliminate things like JS, back, and so forth. Off the preferences, user settings, we'll get a split screen with the default settings. This is the superset of all the things that we can govern here, and then any overrides that we want to have. So I can hit Control F and look for exclude. And there we can find a files exclude section that's disallowing get, SVN, and DS store objects already. So we'll add in our own here from this bit that I've left in the examples. And so we'll exclude also TCScript, which TestComplete generates, JS that TypeScript generates, SJ and back that TestComplete has. And when I hit save, this list is going to clean up. So I'll hit Control S, it saves, and now we're good to go here. So let's close these. Next up, we're going to organize files in TestComplete. So right now, everything's just being dumped into the TestComplete folder. It's fine when there's two files, but there can be a lot of these framework files that get created. So I'm going to add in a new folder. My convention is to use underscore references that floats to the top, and it's somewhat reminiscent of how Visual Studio handles things. And so I just put that in there. Have our desktop unit, which was generated, and we'll have it in the references folder. The use desktop we created as just to have a function, and this is an SJ file created by TestComplete, so we'll leave that outside for right now. Going back into the actual code, where we left off is desktop had a simple property, and we assigned it, and then we read it out to the log, but now we want to start wrapping some TestComplete objects. To do that, we are going to make a screenshot method, and inside that we'll log a picture of the screenshot for the desktop. In order to even use something like log, though, right now it's not understood what log is. When I type in log, it's clear that we don't have a log that it understands here. So the TypeScript understands, although when it gets emitted and is available in TestComplete, it will be understood. So we just need a way for it to pass the compiler. Right now, we're going to do this with the directive inside the same file. Later, we'll put these declarations in its own file. But for right now, we'll say declare var log, and it can be of type any. This means that it will allow log and anything that follows it as well. So if I say log.message, it's happy with all of that. We'll also need one for sys, which will have the desktop. Later on, what this declare does, by the way, is tell the compiler that something of this shape is going to be in the code and not to worry about it. Later, this declare will be more specific so that it will be expecting certain objects and sub-objects. For right now, we're just painting with a wide brush and saying allow it. So let me take this out of here, and we'll start building our new function screenshot. Public screenshot, no parameters. And inside that, now we can say log picture, and the TypeScript syntax checking will allow it. Likewise with sys desktop. And you can see as I put the dot there, there's no IntelliSense. It doesn't really understand what should come next. Just the any here allows it to happen. Later, when we start to define the shape, we'll start to get some IntelliSense that'll help us out. And the message that'll go with this will be screenshot of plus, and then we'll use the name parameter. Now this we do have set up inside the class, and so it knows that we've got a name property we get IntelliSense for it. Control-Shift-B to build that, and then we can go out to TestComplete. Make sure that that got compiled. One of the ways you can tell is you'll get this warning here that the script has been changed. I kind of love this part because it's sort of a magical transformation. We get the code generated for us. So now it's got a screenshot, and we should be able to use the screenshot. Up until now, we've been using this function in a separate unit here, but we can actually generate our test functions as well. So I'll just create a new function here. Later we'll have that in a separate unit, but for the moment, because TypeScript is a superset, any JavaScript that you put in is going to be just fine. So I can say I want desktop gets new desktop, desktop dot screenshot. And I didn't supply the parameter. My new desktop. Save that off, build it, and have more changes here. And there's our test. Go ahead, run that, and verify that we're good to go. It runs screenshot of my new desktop. That was the parameter to the constructor, and we've got our screenshot, and we are in fact good to go.